Alright guys, the American Civil War feels like it was made for total war. Industrial power, railroads, brutal line battles, and yet we've never had an official entry in the series covering it. Thankfully, modders have filled that gap with two really ambitious projects that you can play right now: the American Civil War mod for Empire Total War and ACW2 for Napoleon Total War. The Empire version offers a real playable campaign experience where the Union and Confederacy battle across a reworked map, while ACW2 skips the campaign entirely to deliver some of the most authentic Civil War battles in the series. In this video, I'll show you everything you need to know about these mods and how you can play an American Civil War Total War right now. So starting with Empire Total War, the American Civil War mod here transforms the 18th century sandbox into a true 19th century struggle between the Union and the Confederacy, giving players the chance to actually fight the Civil War across a reworked campaign map. The two main major powers and playable factions, the CSA and the USA, are the obvious focus here, while most other nations have been pushed to the background as minor factions. The geography of Empire feels right for the setting, and the flow of the war, pushing north or south depending on who you play, captures the back and forth nature of the real conflict. One major difference here from the base game, and probably quite controversial, is that the tech tree has been completely disabled, which I didn't really like at first, and honestly makes me wish they just reworked the tree to be more relevant to the setting. But on the other hand, it also speeds up the pace of the campaign. Without needing to research upgrades, you can immediately focus on your economy and military buildup. Building steam factories, railways, and farms gives a strong sense of industrial growth, which does fit the setting well. And even though the lack of a tech tree removes a lot of long-term planning, the balance of faster construction and clearer focus on these two factions kind of makes up for the lost mechanic. It's super straightforward, functional, and lets you get to the action fast, which is exactly what you want out of a Civil War Total War scenario. There is a Chronicles event system here, which is also quite great. It adds a lot of flavor to the events, what you're seeing, what you're reading. These are historical pop-ups that give updates on key moments from the war and references, stuff like Gettysburg, Lincoln, or famous speeches, creating a sense of narrative progression as you play. You can also recruit well-known generals like Grant, McClellan, and Chamberlain, which adds a nice historical grounding to your armies. Even though their traits and personalities are fairly simple and not really reworked enough here, seeing recognizable names commanding your forces gives the battles a lot more weight and immersion. All of that said, the campaign is playable, there is flavor, there is character and personality, it's quite fast-paced. All of that being said, there are a few issues. Diplomacy especially is super unbalanced. Foreign powers like Spain or Venezuela can make strange and unrealistic offers, and alliances often shift for no clear reason at all. The absence of naval battles, especially agents, and a proper tech system, of course, also limits the strategic side of the campaign even further and makes the campaign feel sort of incomplete. And some regions and factions outside the US remain really underdeveloped. The AI in some areas as well just doesn't really work well enough, and generally the state of the mod does give you a feeling of this isn't really finished. Despite these issues though, the mod is stable, it is fairly immersive and has a lot of personality, and delivers a campaign experience that feels unique within Empire Total War. With a lot of polish and a few updates, it could easily stand out as one of the best historical overhauls ever made for the game. And then finally, of course, we have the battles, which do a solid job of recreating the feel of the era. Line infantry trade volleys in thick clouds of smoke, cannons echo across open fields, cavalry charges can still decide a fight if timed right. The pace is slower and more deliberate than vanilla Empire, which I always like, with regiments taking and holding ground in drawn-out exchanges that feel appropriately heavy for mid-19th century warfare. Artillery is powerful, maybe a bit inconsistent at times, but when a well-placed shot actually hits a unit, it is absolutely fantastic. There is a lot of unit variety here that adds to the sense of authenticity as well. The Union can field the 54th Massachusetts, the Iron Brigade, Burden's sharpshooters, and more, all distinctive and well detailed. And of course, the Confederacy gets its own unique troops, including Texas Rangers and powerful Napoleonic artillery. You can tell the modders put care into making these units recognizable and functional, and while the AI can be clumsy and the lack of entrenchment or custom formations limits tactics, the battles are still engaging and tactical enough to feel rewarding. However, even though the battles here in this mod are decent enough to play the campaign and get into these battles, the next mod we're about to go through, ACW2 for Napoleon Total War, takes things much further, delivering what might be the best Civil War combat experience in all of Total War. If the Empire version of the Civil War mod is a great campaign sandbox, ACW2 for Napoleon Total War is where the battles are peak Total War. This mod focuses entirely on custom and multiplayer battles, and it absolutely nails the look and feel of the American Civil War. Line formations stretch across massive sprawling fields of custom-made battle maps, artillery thunders with real impact, and volleys feel lethal when two armies meet. The exchange of fire looks cinematic and brutal, and it plays amazingly as well. The unit rosters are incredibly deep, there is so much variety here, and they are beautifully crafted as well. You'll find everything from Union Zouaves and sharpshooters to Confederate militia and heavy artillery. The detail in the uniforms, the flags, the regimental variety makes every engagement feel unique. The modders clearly understood the need for authenticity. Each army feels distinct, both in visuals and performance. Cavalry charges can still amazingly be devastating, but they're situational. You can't just throw them into a musket line and expect results, and this balance makes every tactical decision count and makes online battling, especially against other players, really rewarding. Also, ACW2 handles battle mechanics like morale, fatigue, and pacing much better than the Empire version as well. Units don't just stand and trade fire endlessly, they break, rally, waver in a way that feels dynamic and believable. Long firefights drain stamina, morale dips faster under concentrated artillery, and sudden flanking movements can shatter entire lines. This gives each battle a natural rhythm, slow advances, bursts of chaos, and then desperate retreats. It captures the grim, grinding pace of 19th century Civil War combat and strategy, where holding the line meant everything and every volley had a huge impact. I also really like the pacing of the battles here compared to the mod on Empire. Infantry move at a weightier, more grounded pace, forcing players to think about positioning and terrain and stamina long before contact. Artillery feels punishing but not really overpowered, while musket volleys land with force and smoke clouds that obscure visibility. It's immersive, brutal, and demands patience. Every engagement feels like it could swing either way with one bad move. I would say though, for me, where ACW2 really stands out compared to the mod on Empire is its custom map design. The range of custom battlefields is absolutely staggering, from Gettysburg to Shiloh to Antietam to Chancellorsville. Each one is handcrafted with terrain that demands careful positioning. Hills matter, rivers matter, and so does cover. It's a mod that rewards players who understand line of sight and formation play. Even though it's limited to standalone and multiplayer battles, there's a real depth here that captures the scale and drama of the conflict better than most official Total War releases. And unlike the Empire version, ACW2 here is still receiving attention and updates. That ongoing development means tighter mechanics, smoother stability, and more refined visuals. It feels alive, polished, and it's actually being maintained. I would say in terms of pure battle experience, it completely outclasses its older Empire counterparts, so if you're after the most authentic, tactically rewarding depiction of the American Civil War in Total War battles, ACW2 is as good as it gets. But for all their differences, both Empire Total War American Civil War and Napoleon Total War's ACW2 prove one thing: there is a huge appetite for this era in the Total War community. The Empire mod gives you that grand strategic playground, the politics, the build-up, the slow grind of two nations tearing each other apart. It may be rough around the edges and long overdue for an update, but it does deliver something that no other Total War title or mod quite does. Meanwhile, Napoleon's ACW2 takes that same conflict and refines it into a pure, focused warfare. It's polished, balanced, and beautiful in motion. Every volley, charge, and cannon blast hits with weight, and it's what Civil War combat should feel like in Total War: brutal, tactical, and immersive. And yet, while ACW2 does feel more finished, the Empire version feels like an unfinished project with a bit more support support, new buildings, expanded rosters, proper campaign scripting, and some AI fixes especially, this could easily stand out as one of the best fan-made campaigns ever created. In fact, if the ACW2 modders actually combined all of their battle work into the Empire version, it would be absolutely insane. Either way, I really hope you enjoyed this video and found it informative. I've dropped links below to both mods in the video description. I'd love to hear what you think as well, so let me know all of your thoughts or questions in the comment section below. Subscribe to the channel for more videos just like this, and thanks for watching, guys. I'll see you next time.